We are welcoming to Black Authors Matter TV comic book creator Absalon White Jr. And as you can see, he's a young man, and we love to hear from our young people. And I believe the article I read about you, Absalon, said you were 21 or 22. So you can correct me and or verify which one is correct. So anyway, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. Oh, you need to unmute so we can hear you.
Oh, hi, thank you. No, I always get Zoom confused sometimes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, welcome to the show, and I love your t-shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know I love it too.
So I was asking about your, were you 21 or 22? I think the article I read gave your age.
I'm 21.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just reaching the age of majority, as they say. But how did you become a comic book creator?
I started writing when I was 14. It kind of had to do with both of my parents. My dad was the one who introduced me into comic books, and my mom was the one who introduced me into the idea of writing. And she kind of saw my passion for comic books and saw that I was always coming up with character ideas and names just for fun. And she was like, "Why don't you turn that into a book or something?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then she kind of walked me through it and kind of just gave me a laptop and said, "Here, this is how you do it. Open up Word document and just let me have fun and just write and be creative."
Wow. How did you create your characters? Did you have certain characters in mind, or did you design them off of things that you'd already seen?
They were actually, I think they're really just off the top of my head. It was just, for some reason, I always had a habit of thinking about different superpowers and different names and just trying to come up with the most creative names that I could that were set apart. And at that time, when I was young, it was never meant to be anything too serious, at least not for me. It was just something that I liked to do. And then I was into drawing a lot of anime and stuff like that. And I think that was also a big reason as to why my mom wanted me to kind of express myself in the form of writing, because she saw that I was always drawing characters and watching anime and cartoons and things like that, or superheroes. And so that's kind of how it started.
My daughter loves anime. I hear about it quite frequently. I've never seen it, but my daughter has been to an anime food thing where they connected the anime characters to some kind of food.
Oh, really?
Food festival. She's seen two of the movies, and then she's been somewhere else where where they had anime like merchandise of Nelia, where and she loves it. She watches it on Hulu, Roku, Netflix, everywhere.
All of it. Yeah.
She loves it. I don't know anything about it other than it's called anime, but she has one of her really good friends, and they go to all the different anime things together.
Yeah.
When did you decide to go from just art or a hobby to actually creating comic books?
I think seeing myself do it over the years, I eventually just thought to myself, like, I'm doing it so much and I've been doing it for so many years. When am I going to start telling myself that this is serious? And I actually started, I started believing it. I would tell people like, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do." And it became to a point where I'm pretty sure that a lot of people over the years who asked me, "When is it coming out? When is it coming out?" Stop believing me, because I would tell them that for like 5 years. "Oh no, it's coming out. It's going to come out. Don't worry, it's coming." And no, this year it was time. I felt that I was ready. I was mature enough. I've taken 6-7 years to practice, and I was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to let the world see what I can do in my talents.
So are you more of a comic book illustrator or writer, or are you combining the two?
So I'm a writer. I'm the kind of the creator. I like to create, and then I hired someone to illustrate the ideas that I had and bring it into the book form. But the characters, the storyline, the names, all of that's me.
Okay. So do you work with someone?
Yeah, I hired someone from the Philippines named AJ Cerezo. He's a really, really great artist. I forgot how I got in contact with him. I want to say I saw him somewhere on Facebook, and I reached out to him on Instagram. I found his Instagram handle, and I reached out to him. I let him know this is what I was doing. I'd love to, hire you onto this project. He said, okay, let me take a look at it. I'd love to do that. And we kind of just got it going from there. And it took about 5 months or so because my book is a little bit longer. So it took about 5, 6 months, and then we were finally able to finish it. And then, yeah, he did a really good job.
So is your comic book in a traditional comic book style, like a tabloid, or is it like a graphic novel?
It's a traditional comic book style. The art style itself is all digital. So it's a bit more of a modern art style, but it still is read and written as a traditional comic book would be, but it's all just on a digital platform.
Okay, so do you have a copy of one of them? Is it published yet?
It is published, yes. It's on Amazon.
Oh, that's
You can
right. You
find them
told me
on.
you didn't have a physical copy yet.
I don't have a physical copy, but I do
Okay.
have a picture of the cover and everything.
Well, I'd like to see
Okay,
the
we
cover.
would love to see
Yes,
it.
absolutely. Let me see here. Trying to do this left-handed. I'm right-handy. There we are.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that looks great. It's popping out of the page or the screen
Yeah,
like it's 3D. That looks really
yeah.
good. Now, what is the name of that?
Instant.
Okay, and who's your characters? Who's your main character?
Instant, actually, believe it or not, is me. I wrote myself as the superhero in this story.
Oh, well, you
Nice.
go
You know
ahead.
what? If you can't see yourself as a superhero, who else will?
You're right.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I thought about the idea. I thought about how people would receive me being the superhero, but I wanted to take a chance on it. I thought it would be fun. Because who doesn't want to be a superhero, have superpowers in
Exactly.
real life? And I had the ability to write, so why not write myself as the hero?
Well, that shows confidence. So, because some people will be critical, but just think of it this way. I don't care what you do, somebody's going to be critical. I don't care
Yeah,
what you do,
yeah,
somebody is going to have something to say. So you just have to brush that stuff off and keep going. And it's
You know,
wonderful.
people try to look down on a person who would see themselves as a superhero, but if you really look at it, if you don't, like I said a little earlier, if you don't see yourself as a superhero, nobody else will. And I think that that's great, and it builds self-esteem, and then it also makes young people who are coming behind you, who may be reading your comic books, they can see
mhm,
themselves as a superhero.
yeah. And that's one of the biggest reasons I did it because, I think most people probably would think, oh, he's, narcissistic, wants to make himself the hero. But I wanted to do it for the exact opposite reason. I feel that in the story, I'm able to show my real life vulnerabilities and my real life personality
Yeah.
in ways that you probably couldn't with a fictional character. So I want people to know that superheroes do have vulnerabilities and they do go through real life struggles that you go through, and I'm able to kind of show myself in story form.
Now, how do you come up with your conflicts? What crimes are you resolving, or are you fighting in your comics?
So in this first issue, um, it's really trying to find out who gave me the powers. So pretty much, I stumbled and fell and got hit by a car and was rushed to a hospital. And someone decided that they wanted to use me as a test subject to try out a new serum that they kind of been creating. Smart scientist, I guess you could say. And in the story, I don't want the powers at all. It's kind of opposite of how I am in real life. I really don't want the powers and I really want to get rid of them. And so I kind of go on this journey of acceptance and also trying to figure out who gave me the powers to possibly reverse it.
I love that.
Me
And I
too.
guess you see that a lot, I think, in the young superheroes, like Spider-Man and so forth, where they didn't really want the powers at first and they had to kind of accept it. I think
Mhm.
even at one time, if I remember correctly, Superman didn't want it at first. He
Right.
was kind of playing around with it, and then he learned how to accept it and control it. So
Yeah.
I think that's actually a kind of a self journey that a lot of superheroes go through.
Yeah. And I thought that it would probably be a smart one to take. And I figured if I made myself want to have them, it would kind of not be so fun to read. And I kind of wanted to play with that.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's true. You have to put some sort of every situation has to have some challenges.
Mhm.
If everything is just smooth when you're writing, especially if everything's just
Definitely.
smooth, I mean, it's no fun as far as reading it.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think more of our young people need to think about being superheroes and see themselves like that with special powers, or even to use the powers that they already have in
Mhm.
Definitely.
to maximize whatever those powers are.
Or see those things that you think are a handicap and it's actually a superpower.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, are you in college, Absalom?
I am technically in college. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I that I started going to college in 2020, I want to say. It's called West Coast Bible College to become a minister. I love God, and I try to maintain a strong relationship with God, and evangelism, I feel like it's my calling, and um, I feel like that I could also do that evangelism work through my comics in a fun way and in a light way without it being forced or anything like that. But yeah, I say kind of because I should have been graduated last year, but
Mhm.
COVID and
It happened.
um, some priorities with the director who's kind of been giving us our schoolwork. He's kind of taking a step to do other things, and so we've been kind of trying to communicate and find the time to work out a graduation for me.
I really have a lot of respect for these last couple years of graduating classes. My own daughter's going to be graduating from college this weekend, actually. And when I look at what she went through, starting college in a traditional way, and then having to go to school through COVID. And some people think, oh, well, she just got to sit at home and it's easier now. But no, it's actually harder. There's so many other things that are distracting you all, and for you to be able to stay focused on trying to finish your education and do well, not just barely pass, that's,
Mhm.
that's a huge accomplishment. So I have so much respect for the class of 22, 21, even in
And
2020,
20,
because so much you went through.
right? And the
Yeah.
kids in 20, high school or college, they missed their graduation, and like
Right.
the high schoolers missed the
Yeah.
prom. And it's,
Yeah.
you can't get those years back. It's just
Absolutely.
so now, how does your faith inform your comic book writing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
How does your faith inform your comic book writing?
I usually, for me, like I said, I don't want to ever do it in a way that it's forceful. I want people to still be able to read it and read it as a superhero comic, but I also want to leave the message of God in there and kind of get people thinking who may not be thinking about it already. So, just of course, having a strong, what I consider to be a strong relationship with God and writing and I don't know, talking to him before I, take the time to write and making sure that I also have people who will, read it over as well and say, hey, what do you think about this? And kind of give their input as well and see if they need to, change something faith-based wise or anything like that.
Right, right.
So is this comic book? I know you're the focus of Instant.
Mhm.
Your your recently released one. So this is your first one. This is your only one.
Yes, this is my first one so far.
Okay. So you're planning to do a series because normally comic books, are a continuing thing.
Yeah, definitely. I plan on doing a series for sure. I have lots of big plans. I mean, from the time that I started writing when I was 14, Instant wasn't the only hero in my head. So I definitely have plans in the future for
Oh, he
sure.
needs a community now.
Definitely needs a community for sure.
There's a growing community, speaking of community, there is a growing community of African American comic book writers. Have you begun tapping into that community? I have
I
a
have.
friend named Tony Cottrell. He's in the Maryland area,
Mhm.
who is a comic book publisher, and he publishes
Okay.
African American comic book writers. And I can just see you kind of tapping into that community a little bit more.
That's not a community that I've tapped into really. It's something that I've definitely looked at because I thought that it was really important. Especially that's kind of a big reason, another big reason of why I do what I do. And it's just so hard to find, it really is. You have to
It is.
really look for it, and it's not out there in the public.
It's
And
not a huge community yet, but they are out there.
yeah, it's definitely something that I really want to try and dive into and see who else is
I'm going to
doing
try
that.
my best to introduce you guys, even if you don't work together, just to know each other and to be able to give each other that support.
Yeah.
I think is really huge. And then you can, you know, just support each other, get to know each other, and help that community to grow.
Definitely, definitely.
Now, your title is called Instant, and is there a meaning behind that? And what made you select that for your title?
Yeah, it really I feel like it had a lot to do with his power set. He's a speedster, and I originally had a different name for him when I very first came up with him, but that was taken, and so I had to search. I think I came up with the name Instant maybe 4 years ago. 6 years ago was something completely different, and then 4 years ago, 2 years after that, I was like, okay, let me try Instant, and that wasn't taken, and that was something that I had to kind of hop on quickly, and of course do the registered and trademarks and everything for it. But yeah, I did that pretty much because of his power set, and also I just thought it sounded pretty cool.
Well, a one-word title is impactful because it's easy to remember.
Yeah, definitely. It is an easy title to remember. If you have something too long, it might be a little bit hard to remember.
Yeah,
Mm,
true.
yeah. It sounds like your parents are very involved with, your creative side. So, tell us about that and how they've influenced you.
So I think really when I was younger, for sure, they definitely had the biggest influence. When I got older, it's kind of when they took a step back and just let me do me. And they're of course always supportive and always excited to hear about the next release or when I'm doing the next interview or anything like that. And but my mom, I definitely think had probably the biggest impact because she just is always very supportive as mothers are. She's always been the one to cultivate my dreams and ideas. Um, and she's always been the one to try and find the best outlets for me. I just knew that I always had her as a great support system. And my dad, of course, too, but she really took the time to put her all into every dream and aspect me and my sisters had.
That's beautiful.
So you do have siblings.
I do, two siblings, a younger sister and an older sister.
Are they into
Okay.
comics as well?
Not really. Yeah, they are to a degree, but not as big as probably me or my dad. And my mom, she isn't into them as well, but she's into mine. She really loves. She loves to support me. She tries to get into them. She's not a TV watcher in general. Actually, she
Mhm.
doesn't do a lot of TV.
But that's okay because she knows where your talents are and she supports you cultivating your talents, which is something that you should never take lightly.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's in the future for Absalon White Jr.?
I
Absalon White
definitely
Jr. I put the junior on there.
I definitely have plans to release a second issue of Instant for sure. Um, I don't have an exact time frame. I'm gonna start working on writing that second issue within the next month or so. Probably a
Take you to write.
2023 release. Huh?
Take you to write your comic.
So for this one that I wrote, it's pretty much three issues combined into one. So this took quite a while. I think it took about maybe 3 months to write this one. And then the rest of the time was really just getting the illustration process. And that was the longest time.
Yeah.
But I feel like once it's, just the one issue, I think it should take no longer than a month and a half or so to finish this next issue writing wise and then getting it to the illustration process.
Now,
Right. That's always the case for illustrated books because I
right.
have children's books and the writing part is fast. I mean, relatively fast. The
Yeah.
illustrations are what take a
Well, when
while.
it comes to writing a comic book, I wonder. I see it kind of as a bigger challenge because you don't really have the opportunity to write a lot of backstory. It's very dialogue driven. You
Hmm.
know, one character says something, then the character responds, and then the character says something, and then another character may respond. So, what is the challenge? I mean, I see that as the challenge to where you're not
Hmm.
able to write that backstory, but you have to be able to write your dialogue in such a way that's going to keep the reader interested. So,
Yeah.
how do you overcome that challenge?
Ooh, that is a tough one. No, it's not so much it's not so much overcoming. You just gotta kind of deal with it in a way. I don't think you can overcome it completely, but I think over the years of writing has definitely helped because it was definitely challenging when I first started. But after doing it for 6 years, it's become easier. And I have to admit, when I first wrote it all those years ago and then kind of revamped it, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, I forgot to add the panels myself in the story. And so when I sent the script over to the artist, he let me know. He's like, dude, you didn't panel the storyline. Like, how am I supposed to know what to draw? And I was like, oh my gosh, my bad. And so I had to take another month or so and just kind of go through that whole story of 77 pages and make sure that I add panels into something that was already written, which was very difficult because it was pre-dialogue. And so now I have to think about how am I going to envision a scene in my head and write it in between a dialogue that has already been written instead of doing it the proper way and doing it, at the same time. So that
I
was
would
very
make that
challenging.
same mistake. I didn't even think about panels until you said something.
Yeah,
Well,
that was very challenging.
it's part of the process. You live and learn. Now, one of
Yep.
our viewers, actually, my good friend that just recently started watching the show, she says she's very excited about you as a comic book writer and would like to purchase your first book. So
Oh, thank you.
tell her, her name is Sherry Carthane, and so tell her and the rest of the audience how they can purchase your comic book instant.
Definitely. You can purchase Instant on Amazon, the Kindle app, and Comixology. So all of the Amazon owned platforms. If you have any one of those three, or you can go on Amazon.com as well, it's available for purchase for $9.99.
All right.
Okay. And when Sherry says she's going to buy something, she buys it because she's purchased several of my books. You know, some people say they're going to buy your stuff and they don't.
Right,
But
right.
Yeah.
and that's the nature of being an author. You'll learn that as you go along the way. So,
Yeah.
Absalon, oh, let people know how they can connect with you on your social media.
Right. And then also let us know. I believe you have an event coming up, Phoenix Comic Con.
I do. I do have an event. Yeah, I'll be at Phoenix Comic Con. It is May 29th, and I believe my slot is from 12 to 1. So that's
Right.
12 p.m. Yep, 12 p.m. to
No.
1 p.m.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Phoenix Comic Con. Okay, well,
Yeah.
congratulations, Absalon, on your first comic book, and we are uh, in agreement with you for many more, and for you
Thank
to reach
you.
all of your goals in the future. You're getting started at a young age, which is great
Thank
because
you.
you're going to learn what you don't know, but it's better to learn it when you're young because then
Amen.
you don't get as dissuaded when you're young doing things, breaking,
Definitely.
pushing the envelope and making changes, being creative. Okay, well, you have a great evening. Thank you for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. And the Instagram handle is Absalon White Jr. You'll
Thank
see,
you.
Okay,
So
it's
I'm
my
going
cover
to check
photo,
out.
so you'll see it.
okay, so that's great. That's great. That's easy to know with your name
Yeah, you'll
there.
be able to,
You don't have to
yeah,
think
it'll
about it.
easily distinguishable, especially from the cover itself.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much for being a guest, and you have a great evening.
Thank you for having me. You as well.
Thank
Okay,
you. Bye-bye.
bye bye.
Bye.